Hey, what's up? This is Sam, and welcome to the Good News Podcast. And today we have a special guest all the way from Cleveland, Ohio. He is the man at the campus. Ray is an influencer from Cleveland. He's helping us reshape the way we think of the next generation from his early decision, helping his dad, the Dr. Vernon, to now him really having his own company and really just kind of changing the way we're seeing young people. Ray, welcome to the show, man. What's up?
Man, what's up, bro? Honored to be here, man. Honored to be here, man. Thank you for having us.
I've got a question. I want to start off really real quick. Can you just share a little bit about you, who you are, what you do, where you're from, how you grew up, just a personal story?
Absolutely, bro. As you said, man, PK born and raised, you kind of said some of it, but 14 years old, I'm in school, and I'm looking at these teachers, bro, and literally I'm saying, why am I sitting here? This don't make no sense. How they gonna teach me anything when I could be really in the field learning what I want to do? So it's like I had an epiphany. I was in science class, got up out of science class, called my best friend. I said, man, I just had an epiphany. I don't like these teachers. I don't like these subjects. I don't like these classes. I'm leaving and I'm never coming back. And that's exactly what I did, man. I left at 14 and never went back to traditional school. Like literally
You made that decision or your dad?
No, I made it. Like, so I went home, I promise you. And I was like, yo, like, I don't want to, like, I'm not going to school no more. And they was just like, but I was a different kind of, I was all in on like, PKs usually do two things, bro. They usually either run to it or run away.
Talk to
right?
me. So, Talk to me.
It's
Talk
like,
to me.
I'm either rocking with it or I'm like, I'm not messing with it. And for me, of course, we all had that period. Mine actually came later in life, which is crazy. When I was in college, a little running away period. But early on, I was like, yo, like, this is what we gonna do. So 14 years old, man, I stopped going to school, and my pops was on tour, the One Night Stand tour, the original boy. And we traveled all around the world. I started the Outsiders team ministry when I was 14. And man, I was the kid again. I was the bad kid at first, but kind of changed my life and was like, yo, they said I had one more time. I could tell you a long story how I threw a house party and got in trouble. But long story short, I eventually got my act together and went all out for Christ, man. Started our youth ministry. It blew up, became the number one on Northeast Ohio. Then went to college, kind of fell away for a second, had that little, I did it to myself, runaway story, right? But
for sure.
As I was running away, we started a college ministry called the Melting Pot. It won Ministry Organization of the Year. It was so crazy, man. Black people, white people, everybody coming together. It had like 400 people weekly coming. Then it was 600, and it just grew, became one of the largest ministry. But God has always kind of been pulling me to him, man, to kind of do his work. And I could keep going, but that's kind of my story, my origin story, bro.
And bro, I can tell you was bad when you was a kid because when I hear you preach, you were a bad man. Seriously, I can tell. I'm like, man, this man got the passion. Just from hearing you preach and your stage presence, I'm like, yeah, he was bad when he was young. Like, he was bad.
I was, man. Yeah.
So listen, talk to me about this, man. Okay, so you drop out of school, public school, and then you go homeschool. How did that affect your life? From there, like, I mean, you don't have a normal life after that. How did that affect your life? Benefits from that?
No, you definitely don't, man. What it did was, at first, I'll be honest, one of the greatest things about homeschool, it allowed me to, number one, I think, again, get that real life experience. So for me, for what I was called to do, I knew I wanted to be out here in these streets doing ministry, impacting lives. If I'm in school 9 to 3, 8 to 3, whatever it is, I would have missed a lot. I was here at the church, bro, every day, all day again, like going to school here, doing ministry here. So it kind of exposed me to that. At the same time, it kind of sheltered me from some things, bro. So like, certain things that a lot of people experience in that high school thing, or you get an outlet to that, or you kind of have to engage in this, or you got to make some choices. I was sheltered from that. So that was good and bad, because then at college, I was exposed to it all. So it was like, oh, this is what I missed. I kind of like that. And, you kind of fall off for a second, Brody. But that's kind of what homeschooling did. But it gave me a head start. I think my brother said something, Dr. Darius Daniels. He said the best thing you can have in life is speed. So, like, if you can get speed and a head start over whatever it is that people in your career and your finance, whatever, speed is the best thing. So what it did for me is it gave me speed, no doubt
Come
about it.
on.
I was reading MLK, a testament of hope when I was 14 years old. MLK
Mm,
biography, Malcolm X to W.E.B. Du Bois. So it was things that he kind of put in me. But it's pros and cons to everything, bro.
for sure. And you know one thing that I love about you and your dad and your whole family, I can tell the legacy really matters to him. And I can see
Yeah.
the way that he's positioned his family. And that's something that, man, I pray for sure that I want to be just like that when I grow up with my kids. And so talk to me about this. So, okay, so you're not going to public school, you're doing homeschool, and then you active in the church, okay? What's the benefit of being so active when you were so young? You kind of, obviously there's a lot of room for mistake. There's some benefits and some cons to it. Kind of talk to us about maybe some kids who are, pastors' kids and they're having to do homeschool and also really, you know, be a staff member who just don't get paid church.
Right, right. The benefit of it, bro, is what I'm doing today. I am number one in my own company, but even again, this word of speed. Like what I do today, I lead as the one of my positions here. I also lead as the experienced pastor, whatever it is on staff. The guy who was just in here, they just left shooting my podcast, who
Yeah.
does all of my VAR stuff with me, all of that. I saw him at 13 years old. He'll tell you he just gave the story, and I put a camera in his hand. The
Mm,
guy who's also on staff, who does some of our admin, different things. We've been doing, so my point is we've been doing ministry since we were so young that it just kind of gave me experience that you can't make up. It's like if you've been hooping since you were 11, it's like Steph Curry was around basketball all of his life. You know what I mean? It's like
for sure.
Bronny right now. So there's really nothing in ministry, good and bad, right? Crazy stories and all that I haven't seen. I've seen people break our hearts. I've seen people, man, say that they was gonna be there and gone. I've seen people stay with us our whole time. I've seen people been
Yeah.
faithful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen every story you can see in the church. So nothing kind of surprises me. And God was kind of setting me up for the future, bro, with that.
For sure. I feel the same way. In church, working ministry, man, there's a lot of stuff that you see. At the end of the day, what I always tell my wife when I come home, and it was worth it. That meeting that we had to
Yeah.
have, that hard conversation with that student that we had to have, and that got to make this phone call because this person did this, and you have a lot of stuff that's moving along with the leaders and stuff like that. But when it's all said and done, man, it is worth it. It is worth
Yeah.
the work that we do in ministry. So at this time, you started youth ministry, and right now I'm a youth pastor. So talk to me about starting the Outsiders, and then also what's some challenges that you face? What's some things that you learn? Maybe there's some youth pastor who's watching. What's some advice you can give them if they're just starting being a youth pastor?
Well, I'll tell you this, bro. Here's the reality. If you can preach consistently to teenagers, you can preach to anybody because
Okay,
they go keep it a buck with you, right? They
hundred
go let you
percent,
know whether they
bro.
vibing with you or
No,
not.
yep, yep,
You are gonna know, like, so what it did was, again, even before the teenagers, we did this thing Club 412, which was 11 to 14. I started with the baby. So a lot of people, the one thing my pops always gives me, and he always says about me, which I'm proud to say, is that, again, man, it was like I was preaching to the 3-year-olds in the freaking classroom first and worked my way up literally
that's
every step
good.
of the way, which is
That's
something he
good.
built in us, is that nothing's given, everything has to be earned. You got to work for it. So when I was doing the 11 to 14-year-olds, I'll never forget, they'll be looking at you and you preaching. And I said something wrong one time about David and his son. And it was like, that ain't what the Bible say. The Bible don't. He stopped
Correction
me
right
mid-sermon. And
away.
I was like, they gonna make sure that you telling the truth
Oh
about that
yeah.
word.
Oh
So
yeah.
what I'll say is it shaped me into the man that I am. And again, I think people don't understand how much of a privilege and blessing it is to be able to be a part of the process of shaping a generation that
Yeah.
is literally coming up with you or right behind you. At that point, I was coming up with them. I was 14 leading the Outsiders. I don't know how my dad allowed that. Somebody write him a letter and tell him that was wrong. You crazy. But somehow, some way, man, I was leading it. But it's nothing like seeing young people grab onto Jesus and come to life with it, man. So it was an honor, bro.
Come on, that's awesome, man. I'm so happy to hear that. And now you're leading the young adult ministries too, right?
Yeah, man. So
What's that
my wife and
transition?
I,
What's that transition? Because I'm in that I'm in a season now where I'm preaching to young adult and youth, and it's very different. It's drastically different. Tell me what's the difference between going from youth ministry to young adults?
Hey, listen, man. You know that problem, that song is like more money, more problems. That's almost like more. They just got a little bit different issues and a little bit, it's just elevated.
It's just elevated.
Stuff.
That's it.
Yeah. They just got stuff that they really they grown. So it's number one, they really looking for a word like, brother, what you got to say to me? Like, I'm grown and I'm choosing to give you my time. So I need to know what's coming out of your mouth. I ain't got no time to play. And here's another thing, they got a little bit more of an amen in them. So that always is cool as a preacher. But
absolutely.
But on a serious, but very much, bro, I would say the only difference is, honestly, it's just different things that they dealing with. I mean, it's still, we all need the story of Christ. We all need Christ in our heart. We all need to be sanctified by him, but it's just different issues is the biggest thing I would say.
For sure. And I think no matter what journey you're in, whether you're teaching children ministry, youth ministry, or young adult, or even big church, one thing that is vital for sure is leadership. So I want to ask you just 2 questions on leadership. Give me a moment in your life where it was a pivotal moment for you to be able to have the right type of leadership, and how did that impact you and your faith, really?
Yeah. So you said leadership and how it impacted my faith?
Correct.
I think for me, and you know this as a leader, bro, when you have people that are looking at you saying, man, you're my pastor, you're my leader, you are, number one, the authority that comes with that, right? The Bible says that, again, the enemy desires to sift you out like wheat, but watch this, I prayed for you, right? I covered you. So oftentimes it's like this, you get a real attack that people really can't understand unless you hold those kind of positions where not only are you dealing with stuff that's your own stuff, but now you have to be careful, because the congregation that you're praying for, there's real things in the atmosphere. There's real things in the crowd that if you're not prayed up enough, those things will try to attack you. They will try to lynch onto you. And now you have this authority, or this almost great responsibility of, okay, am I going to preach one thing, right? The public me, but the private me be living a different kind of life. So I'm publicly saying, man, I want you to live this life, and I want you to have integrity, and I want you to keep yourself, and I want you, but that's easier said than done when you at 19, 22, 23 yourself, and you still figuring out what demons coming after you. So it makes you have to mature quick, bro. It makes you have to realize I got to guard my gates, because I'm saying certain things that are still trying to attack me, still trying to lynch onto me. So it grew me up fast, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, it matured me really fast, because it's a different kind of level of responsibility.
Come on, what's one advice you would give to someone who is inspiring to be a leader, someone who feel that God is calling them to youth ministry, young adult ministry, or just any type of like leadership role in the church or even in business? What's one thing that you would say to them if, just young and they're wondering what to do?
One thing, if I had to just give them one thing, it would be to work on that private you, bro. Like it's no other way I can really put it. The one thing that I have to give credit, you mentioned my dad, so I'll give him credit for this, is there was his public ministry always represented his private ministry with us. So oftentimes, while most PKs can't stand their daddy, can't stand church, it's because you were at the meetings but couldn't come to my game.
Oh,
you were you were preaching that on stage, how you got to keep yourself and you got to live right and you got to honor, but you be cussing mama out at home. So what oftentimes it's not always the preacher fault. It's, watch this, they're carrying a lot without really working on who they are and who taught them how to be a man. Who set them down and say, hey man, listen, it's not just about that gift because you gifted, but what is your emotional health looking like right now? Have you read anything Peter Scazzaro? Have you worked on your emotional health? Have you worked on yourself? Because oftentimes, man, we got this gift and people say gift, throw them to the front, but integrity, lifestyle, still all the way in the back.
Oh my goodness.
So I would say it's so important to get somebody, watch this, that you can call your coach or your spiritual father, however you want to look at it, that you trust, that's going to care about you and not just your gift, bro. I would say that's the biggest thing.
Discipleship, that matters.
Discipleship.
That
Yeah.
matters. Mentors, that matters. Get someone in your life, and I find this often. I think with the young leaders, I think we have the most brilliant communicators coming up. I think we have the most creative generation that's coming up. I've never seen so many communicators who can communicate the gospel like crazy before, who can articulate the word and put it in my face where I can understand it. But I think one thing that we have forsaken is accountability.
Mm.
We're we're trying to grow up so quick. We don't want no one to tell us no. We don't want a pastors who can say, hey, this is not the time yet. I know you can preach, but this is you need to sit this out. And I think that's one thing our generation is suffering from is for us to understand that even though we have the gift, someone else has the wisdom.
Absolutely.
And for me, it's very important to have people in my life, especially like my pastor, who I have given, I've told my pastor, hey, listen, I am under your leadership. Like I want to be corrected. And that's something that I'm praying that our generation really we want is to be corrected, right? Like I want to be corrected, and I want to be steered in the right way. So for sure, I really feel like that's something. If you're a young leader, want to become a youth pastor, young adult pastor, any leadership role, the first thing that you have to do is to follow. If you can't follow, we know what the quote is: you can't lead. So, man, that was great. That's awesome, man.
Well, what I was just gonna say is accountability. Oftentimes, I think what we have to realize is accountability doesn't make you weak, bro. It's like
Come
this
on,
idea of like, because I'm saying yes, sir, that doesn't make me less of a man.
come on.
Because I'm able to submit to another man does not mean that I'm not man enough, or
Mm,
that's like, well, and then we always blame it on this. Well, our generation, we just like to understand, or we just
correct.
gotta like, you know what I mean? We don't just say, we don't just know. Sometimes it is a place to be like, yes, sir. You know, maybe I
Hmm.
don't get it right now. And guess what? That's not even my job to bring that to you. Maybe that's my job to bring that to the Lord. But to the earthly responsibility,
So
I'm just
good.
supposed to say yes, sir, and then say, Lord, well, he tripping, but I'ma still serve, Lord, until you tell me
So
different. You know what I
good.
mean? So yes,
So
sir.
good. So good. And I think the effectiveness of the leadership that we're trying to create or the people that's following us
Yeah.
actually have to start with how well we're following someone who's in front of us. And often we
Man.
wonder why our team can't follow our direction, our vision
Mm,
is maybe because we're not following the senior pastor direction. And so you have to put yourself in a position is the level of your obedience to your leadership will determines the level of obedience that you're going to have in your team. So
mm.
if you want people to follow you, be a good follower. And so if there's any young leader that's listening, I want to tell you that, listen, it is awesome to follow someone who is gone before you. It is awesome to listen to the pastor that God has placed in your life and we should want to be corrected. And I think if our generation can get that, I think we'll be all right.
So
I
good,
think we'll
bro.
be all right.
So
So look, let
good.
me pivot a little bit. Let me pivot. I know we don't have a lot of time, but let's
Yeah.
talk marriage. I know you just got married. Talk to me about that, bro. Yes,
Listen,
sir.
I'm happily. Yeah, listen, all the married folk, come on,
Yeah.
bro.
Let's
Everybody
go.
want to throw up phones. I'm throwing up the ring, bro. Come
Let's
on, what they
go.
talking about? But yeah, bro, I'm young and married, man. We got
Yeah.
married young and
How old?
figured it out. You said what?
How old did you guys? How old were you when y'all got married?
Yeah, so I'm 25 now. I was 22.
I
I
was
was
21.
22. Okay, cool. Yeah, and she was
Yes, sir.
21. So we got married young, man, fresh out of college. Dated her for 7 years. We broke up 10,000 times. But but we got back together, man, and I had to get my stuff together, bro. I had to get it
I
together.
got you.
But
I got you.
I locked in and I found my thing, and she's everything to me. We just had a baby too, so she's
Come
taking care of
on.
the baby. I can't wait to get home to him now. So yeah, man, I love being married young. I think it gets a bad rap. I think people don't understand that the key is marrying your best friend. To me, in my humble opinion, I think you got to marry somebody that you can kick it to. That if you were stuck in a room 2 days, you would want to get an extension to the room and not want to run out of the room, right? You know what I
Come
mean? So
on.
it's
That's
like
great.
I mess with it.
That's great. I feel the same way too. I always tell people this. I am a fan. I am a fan of young people getting married young. I just
Yeah.
there's something about that I love because for me is when my wife and I got married, I didn't know anything. She didn't know anything. So literally everything that we know, we learned it together. I
Figure it
can't
out.
do life without her. She can't do life without me. So it's
Yeah.
like so everything that we knew from paying bills to buying a car, everything we kind of had to learn it together. And for me, there's such a bond that comes with that. So I definitely encourage if in a right place in the right way, I definitely encourage young people getting married young. And man, so how's the baby?
The baby is good. To that end of what you just said, figuring
Yeah,
everything out together. Like, shout out to her mom and my mom and dad, man. But it's certain things in life
absolutely.
you just figure out. You just figure out together. Like, I just got her a new car. Certain things I'm like, I didn't even know you could trade in. Like, this is sounds gonna sound so silly. I did not know you could trade in a car. So it was and get because I only had one car my whole life. I had it since I was 15 years old. So she was like, so this is stuff that we were figuring out. We're at the thing. So it was just, and I got her that right before she had the baby. And
Yeah,
and this having a baby, it shows you a whole nother side of each other. And like, okay, my child, no, but our child got to do this. So you start working together, but it's cool, man. I love it. I love it, man. The baby's healthy and good.
that's awesome. And then you guys started a company together.
We
Talk to me
did,
about that.
bro.
Talk to me
VARR.
about that.
We started a company together, man, and straight out of college. So I was on my way to Howard, bro. We were living in DC. I was at Howard.
Yeah.
We got an apartment. We were grinding. She was working down there. All of that. I'm at Howard, and man, since I was in college, real quick story. I used to preach at these different colleges when I was in college. So I
Okay.
went to this school named OU, Ohio University. I'm preaching there, and all of these people got saved. Crazy funny about that. You know, I had the same name as my father. So I walk into the college thing, and all they have on the itinerary is Ray Vernon. So I walk in the thing, and I hear this lady say, "I thought it was who was that? I thought it was his daddy." So I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is about to go bad." But God did His thing. That same
Oh my
girl, glory
God.
to Jesus. She ended up
Oh
giving her
my
life to
God.
Christ, and like 50 other people, man. So they gave their life to Christ. And here's how the company started. They're
Yeah.
all down there and they get saved. They're at the altar. And they say this, they say the prayer of salvation. And here's the only thing I hated, bro. It's a party school. I said to
Mm,
myself, when they go back to their dorm room, what are they gonna get straight back into on their phone? What
mm,
platform are they about to go into? What craziness are they go? So I wish it was something I could leave though. I wish
yeah.
there was something I could say, hey, stay connected with me here or go to entertainment here. So man, I called my wife who we were dating at this time. I said, man, I think we got to create something. Like I want to create something that gives Christians an alternative and really just entertainment. So fast forward, man, I'm at Howard University and I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at these apps. I don't hear what these professors saying. I'm like, I don't know why you talking about what you talking about, but my mind is not here. I
Somewhere
drop
else.
out of school, bro. I drop out of graduate school and we start the company. Like just I did it again. I did it again. So I did it in high school and I did it in grad school. So I drop out of Howard and I start the company. VAR is the name. It stands for our
Yeah.
initials. And pretty much it is what we like to call the story, the sports center of the gospel. We have
Hmm.
one focus. We tell the story of the gospel.
Yeah.
That's our whole motto. It's this perspective of this. Watch this. Imagine the Super Bowl with no first take or no side shows or anything like that. If
Mm,
it was just a game. So
mm,
our thing is individuals like yourself, so many people that's making an impact, y'all stories deserve to be told. Y'all
mm.
stories on how you created things. We have a thing called Inside the Studio with Pastor Mike Jr. We have a series getting ready to drop called Weekend in the Life with Pastor Hannah, Rich Wilkerson, Chris Durso, Jeffrey Golden,
Let's go.
all of these people, man, where it's showing like what does their real life look like. So our
Yeah.
number one goal is to be the number one platform for Christian entertainment. A lot of
Come
people
on.
inspire, a lot of people have dope podcasts. I have one, you have one, but our goal isn't really to inspire, it's to entertain people
That's
on our
good.
platform,
That's good.
bro. So yes,
That's
sir.
good. I love it. I love the direction for that too. And
Yeah.
for me too, that's actually the reason why we started this Good News District, and the reason why we didn't name it, just a podcast, is because eventually what I wanted to become is a platform where when
Mhm.
someone get on social media, they know that listen, I'm gonna see some bad news, but if I go to this page, I'm guaranteed to hear some good news. And someone is going to tell me something and they're going to encourage my faith. They're going to encourage my journey. I'm going to feel empowered. So that's what we create this, music, media outlet, whatever you want to call it. But we're just calling it a district where this is a hub, man, where good news will be told from different aspects, whether it's culture, sports, whatever it is. But we're going to say it in a lens of faith, in a biblical lens, and see what the Word of God has to say about that. So, man, I love what you're doing. And then you've got an app that you're releasing.
We have an app, man. So the app is dropping on February 29th. And again, so everything right now is on hold until the app drops. We're doing a competition for all creators. We're giving away $500 to one creator. All they have to do is tag us and post it on their story and tag us. Pretty much, if you make short films, if you do documentaries, whatever it is, if you do poetry, it don't matter. You can tag us, man. We go celebrate some creators. But yes, sir, the app is dropping.
How can they tag you?
So when you post your creation, whether it's a poetry thing, a small skit, photos, it could be any kind of creator's thing. You literally just put @VARR in your thing, and then you do the hashtag for creators only. For creators only, man. And it's gonna be dope, man. So we excited.
Amazing. Hey, Ray, I got some news for you, man. This is the first episode of our podcast life. So you are the first guest ever. So here's what I want to ask you, man. What good news do you have for this district today? Anything that you have, encourage them.
Man, I would say the good news that I have for you is that you have today. A lot of people are looking forward to tomorrow and what's going to happen in a year from now. But I want to ask you a question. If you had one choice, not if it was no pressure on you, if you had the choice to do something in your life, what would you truly do? If it was up to you, not what mama wanted you to do, not what pops wanted you to do, not what all of the people are saying, what is it that you truly want to get done in your life and go after? And I have one question. Why not? Why not just go do that thing and start that thing and go after that thing? You got time. You got your life ahead of you, man. Go get something done so that you can say, I'm ready to bring you the good news because I'm in purpose. I'm living my passion. So go after it today would be my biggest thing.
So good, man. It was a pleasure talking with you, and I know this was pretty short, so I would love to do this more often. Anything that you need from me, man, let me know. Anywhere I can help and serve you and your ministry, just let us know, man.
My dude, we got to connect, man. Like young creators and young people that's killing it like you are. It's not a lot of us, bro. Sometimes we could be on an island by ourselves. So I appreciate you extending the invitation, allowing us to be on your show, man. And man, congrats. And everybody got to go subscribe to Good News District. I mean, if y'all don't know, now you know. Look how crispy he look. He looked like $1 million.
Hey.